I think Sheikh Gumi has. I usually don't like elevating him so much, but he has been given some form of recognition by the government as the chief emissary of those who are inflicting terror on our country. He's not pretentious about the fact that he has been the most vociferous advocate of terrorists in Nigeria. And I say that without apology. He calls for dialogue. He calls for negotiation. He calls for pampering of murderers, killers, rapists, arsonists, people whose preoccupation is to decimate life, to destroy property, and to wreck communities. Now, I am very worried about the direction the country is going, about the way our institutions are treating this matter, the insecurity in the country. And I dare submit that the problem is not even that we do not have the manpower within the armed forces and the Nigerian security to stop these killings. My own assessment is that this terrorism has persisted, has festered, because we seem to be living in a country where either terrorists or terrorist sympathizers and financiers are the ones fighting terrorism. And that is why the terror has not ended. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, it looks as if the killings of fellow countrymen and women have become such a lucrative venture. So I am laying this background to say that from where I stand, I refuse, and I'm willing to stake anything on this, I refuse to accept the premise that the entire components of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Army, with formations across the country, is so weak, is so incompetent, is so directionless, is so inefficient, is so understaffed to be held to ransom. What we have seen, government after government, particularly the 8 years, the disastrous years of the Buhari regime and the Tinubu dispensation, is that those who have the capacity, those in government, they do not appreciate the urgency of now. Because how do you explain the argument about non-kinetic strategy that the likes of Gumi and his co-travelers have been propagating? That, oh, the solution does not lie in bombing and killing them. If at a minimum, we do not want to agree that the state has failed, we should be able to agree that the Nigerian state is failing, and is failing at an accelerated rate. Because today, you have a commander-in-chief that is not even commanding Boy Scouts. You have a commander-in-chief whose words, whose orders are almost meaningless.
Would that be fair assessment of his role?
It is fair.
The president is doing what he can do.
What is he doing? He's welcoming the campists. He's celebrating governors who are transiting from PDP, from Labour Party, governors and lawmakers to the APC. That is what excites him. I have not seen that passion by this president to stop the killings. First, he has not visited the victims.
Yeah, but some argue that he had to boycott some international trips, you know, for that security meeting held, I think, on Saturday. He had to deploy the Minister of Defense to Kebbi State and all of that. Yes, he has not visited, but the Vice President visited Kebbi.
He has not visited.
But the Vice President was
the Vice President, the Commander-in-Chief. And when the Vice President went to Kebbi, what have they achieved? What have they achieved? Yesterday, announcement was made that, yesterday or 2 days ago, that this same president has ordered that policemen will be withdrawn from all VIPs in Nigeria so that policemen can be redirected to fight actual insecurity. As I was on your way to the station, I cannot count the number of convoys that I've seen policemen in their numbers accompanying VIPs. You have a president whose words are meaningless. They are deceiving us. This president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has no interest in stopping these killings. That is my assessment. I will never, I tell you, I will never accept that the Nigerian government does not have the capacity to stop these things. Because how many are they? Members of Boko Haram, members of ISWAP, and the so-called bandits who are actually terrorists. How many are there?
When Nnamdi Kanu was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on the 7-count charge, and then I think, I haven't seen the CTC of, I've read the Nnamdi Kanu CTC, but the one of an ISWAP leader that was sentenced to 20 years, perhaps an ideological terrorist, I haven't seen the CTC, so I don't know which count gave him 20 years, because we know what the law says at the end of the day. Is there also a failure in prosecution successfully of terrorists to be able to deter them from being able to do what they do? Is that part of the failure?
Of course. Under Buhari, they told us they were going to publish names of sponsors of terror. If you are aware of this, you can fact check me. Abubakar Malami, the Attorney General, said they had compiled a list of sponsors of terror. They never did. Tinubu has been president for 3 years going. He has not disclosed the name of a single financier of terrorism. I dare you to contradict me. That this government has not told Nigerians one person who has been found to be financing and supporting terrorism in Nigeria. You cannot kill a problem that you are not willing to diagnose. You cannot be accepting prescription from a doctor who is unwilling to diagnose you, who is unwilling to disclose to you what is responsible for the symptoms that you are experiencing. That is what is going on. You are not going to stop these killings when the government has failed to tell us how these terrorists are getting financed. The arms, look at the heavy weaponry that they are using to fight to kill our soldiers. Where are they getting the arms from? It is either it comes in from the sea, from the air, or from land borders.
The reason my question actually is, what in the law can we do to strengthen national security? Because you're a lawyer, so you need to give us that solution.
It is not paucity of laws. I want to be understood. You know, I laid a foundation, intentionally so. Nigeria has avalanche, plethora of legislations. Nigeria has institutions to implement these laws. What is lacking is the political will. The political will. Look at what Saudi Arabia did with terrorists. I am telling you this morning that 3 years going, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is unable to disclose to Nigerians a single person that is financing terrorism in our country. That is the beginning. The Ministry of Justice has not even come out plain to disclose to us the information at their disposal regarding, because if you are going to stop the problem, you must be willing to implement the law.